The food is awful. The house is dirty. Is Lily even a woman? Scott's yelling echoes throughout the house. Ever since my husband Scott retired 6 months ago, he spends his days doing nothing at home and goes out to drink every night. As a result, our already strained marriage has worsened significantly. I'm busy with Sarah's care and my part-time job. It's hard to manage the household chores. Can't you help out a bit? I've fulfilled my duty admirably till now. Housework is a woman's job. Then how about we put Sarah in a nursing home? She even wants that. That's a waste of money. Why pay extra when we have a caretaker like you? How many times have we had this conversation? Scott acts like a typical henpecked husband, but he's a male chauvinist. I'm Lily, married for 35 years. I've always endured, even thought this was normal. But recently, my views have changed. I envy younger couples talking about equality and mutual respect. Now, at 60, caring for my mother-in-law Sarah and working part-time, I question this life of just going through the motions. Yet I resign myself, thinking there's no way that I can leave and survive on my own now. Making delicious meals and keeping the house clean, that's a housewife's job. You're the only one in the world so lazy. I've raised 2 kids, and while I might not be perfect at housekeeping, I've done my best. Isn't that enough? Not enough. With only the old age pension, life will get tougher, so you need to work more part-time. Stop joking. If I work more, I can't take care of Sarah. Will you take care of her, Scott? Why should I do it? Balance both. After all, you started the part-time job because you liked it, right? You were the one who said I should earn at least my own food expenses. I've forgotten such old matters. That was about 5 years after our second son was born. Scott suddenly became angry about our expenses, insultingly saying my food costs were a waste. As the boys were in school and preschool, I took up a part-time job, which was indeed a change of pace from the repetitive life of home, preschool, and supermarket. But now the situation is different. Since Sarah became dependent 3 years ago and moved in with us, I told Scott I wanted to quit my part-time job, but he dismissed it as laziness and forced me to juggle both work and care. I had hoped he might help around the house once he retired, but I was too optimistic. He doesn't even visit his own mother's room or show any concern for her. I feel sorry for Sarah, being ignored by her own son. One day, I made a request to Scott, not really expecting much. I want to buy a bed for Sarah. I'm not young anymore, and it hurts my back every time I lift her. With a care bed, it would be easier for both of us. I heard we can get one for about $1,000. Could you consider it? Why spend so much time on someone who won't be around much longer? Don't talk like that. What about renting one? I heard it's less than $100 a month. If she lives for a year, that's over $1,000. What a waste, Scott said dismissively, then went to the fridge and started drinking beer, even though it was still early evening. Isn't she your mom? Don't you want her to spend her final years comfortably? If it were a young person with a future, I'd see the value in investing, but she's at the end of her life. It's pointless. You're terrible. The retirement allowance was deposited, wasn't it? Why not give back a little? That retirement allowance is gone. There's nothing left. I couldn't believe it. Scott had retired from his company only 6 months ago. I never bothered to ask how he was spending the money, assuming it was none of my business. But I didn't expect it to be gone already. What did you spend it on? It was a substantial amount, right? That's none of your concern. Lily, you weren't thinking you'd get any of it, were you? Of course not. My friends talk about family trips, but I never expect anything like that. Traveling with you would be like a punishment. Too boring. He must have received nearly $100,000, and it's all gone. Although he goes out to drink every night, it's hard to believe he could spend so much in a small town's small pub. There are no signs of any major purchases either. While it may not concern me, I do still wonder. That night, as usual, Scott said, "I don't want dinner," dismissively, and went out to drink. A few days later, I had an errand for the store manager at my part-time job and was walking home by a different route when I ran into the manager of the pub Scott frequents. I started to thank her for always taking care of Scott. Scott is always there. I hope it's not too much trouble every night. Oh dear, I'd love for him to come every night, but Scott hasn't been here in about 2 years. What? He used to come at least once a month, but he goes out every night saying he's going to your place. Oh dear, Scott must be up to no good. Is there another woman involved? Impossible. Who would bother with such a grumpy man? Men are unpredictable. They can be sweet and different with other women. After saying goodbye to the pub manager, I stood there dumbfounded for a while. Him? It can't be true. The more I thought about it, the more impossible it seemed. I can't imagine Scott being kind to anyone else. But if there is another woman, that would explain why the retirement allowance disappeared so quickly. If he's lying about going out for drinks, the only reason must be an affair. All sorts of speculations swirled in my head. I decided to make a decisive phone call to my eldest son, Dylan. Mom, what's up all of a sudden? I need to borrow $5,000 without any questions. That's unusual for you, Mom, to ask about money. I'll pay it back. I'll explain why later, please. Okay, I will. Really? I've been aware in my own way that you don't have your own money and have been oppressed by Dad. I'm sorry I couldn't do anything for you even after growing up. I've been relying on you as an adult. That's not true. The best thing for me is seeing you and your brother become independent. I'll send the money tomorrow. Thank you. I am blessed with a kind son. My parenting wasn't wrong. That realization encouraged me. The next day, I went to a detective agency and requested an investigation on Scott. Since he leaves the house at almost the same time every night, the tailing should be relatively easy, and the results should come quickly, they said. I was somewhat relieved. But after actually making the request, I started acting suspiciously myself. Maybe it was guilt, but the more I tried to act natural, the more unnatural I became, and Scott became suspicious. Lily, something is off with you. Are you sick? What a nuisance you are. Pay for your own treatment, will you? I'm fine. I won't cause any trouble. All right then. I was grateful. For the first time, I found comfort in his spitefulness. A week later, I went back to the detective agency and was shocked by the results I saw. The report, complete with photos, detailed everything. Scott, entering a beautiful apartment he had rented about 6 months ago. An hour later, he emerged hand in hand with a woman in her 30s. They spent about an hour and a half at a nearby upscale restaurant, racking up an $800 bill, then stopped at a supermarket to buy a lot of groceries. On weekends, they went on trips, staying in hotels, costing $1,500 a night. I was speechless at the reality before me. I couldn't remember the detective's words after a certain point. What have I been doing? I endured back pain, did the caregiving, worked part-time, and took care of everything at home. I didn't indulge in luxuries, haven't bought anything I wanted in decades, and resisted buying tempting sweets on my way home from work. Of course, I never went on trips. I supported the children when they started resenting Scott's harsh attitude. I alone managed their rebellious phases, school ceremonies, and events. But in the end, this is what awaited me. I felt like all emotions were draining away, like the tide receding from the shore. That day, I returned home later than usual from my part-time job, and Scott immediately lashed out at me. Where have you been? Mom's been calling for water since earlier. Hurry up and give it to her. I'm not going out tonight. Get dinner ready. His loud, pointless noise didn't bother me somehow. It was just like a noisy insect. No need to respond to an insect. I began preparing dinner. I fed Sarah first, then made my own meal. Though I felt something constantly nagging nearby, I enjoyed my dinner alone. I indulged a bit today, with steak and dessert from a famous cake shop. Wow, this is delicious. Can't believe I never bought from this shop in 10 years. Hey, Lily, are you listening? Answer me! I only did laundry for Sarah and myself. There seemed to be something else, but it must have been my imagination. I bought some luxurious aroma oil today. Looking forward to it. You're doing this on purpose, right? It's not going to scare me, you know. Maybe I'll relax and watch some TV. I'm watching the news. Don't change it. Oh, that actor is charming. I haven't had the luxury to watch dramas recently. Ignoring me, is that your strategy, Lily? Maybe I'll enjoy the aroma for a bit. I went to the bedroom and for the first time since getting married, truly enjoyed the expensive aroma I had bought. Then, feeling a bit relaxed, I decided to have a beer from the fridge. It's been a while. Beer is the best. Hey, have you finished cleaning the shower room? Don't tell me you haven't done it. I got a bit tipsy from drinking after so long. Time to sleep, I guess. After turning off the TV and lights, I headed to the bedroom. Lily, don't turn off the lights while I'm still up. I heard something, but I guess it's just a bug flying around. When I got into bed, I felt strangely at ease, almost ready to fall asleep immediately. It might be the first time since I was a child that I felt this peaceful drifting off to sleep. I felt light, as if a shackle had been removed. In my world, Scott has become an invisible presence, like air. So I started living as if it were just Sarah and me. About a week later, Scott, reaching his limit, apologized to me for the first time. Forgive me, I was wrong. That was the moment I felt the presence of a housemate I hadn't noticed before. Oh, are you here? Stop ignoring me. I'm tired of doing my own laundry and cooking. I won't take care of you anymore, no matter how much you apologize. What's gotten into you? Suddenly ignoring me? Are you mad about leaving Sarah's care all to you? I'm sorry about that. I'll help from now on. It's not about that. Then why are you doing this? Well, you have someone to take care of you, don't you? What? The apartment around the corner from the cafe, the one in the back? Sophia, 35 years old. How do you know about that? You bought it for her with your retirement allowance. How kind. No, that's... Scott seems to be trembling somewhat, probably shaken by the realization that I know everything. Tomorrow, both you and Sophia will hear from my lawyer. What's that about? It's a claim for compensation in the divorce trial. $20,000 from each of you. Wait, Sophia will surely be surprised. She shouldn't think she can get involved with someone else's husband and have everything end smoothly. For 35 years, I've been your silent slave, Scott. I don't ask for gratitude, just don't interfere with my new life. It was just a fling with Sophia. A fling? And you buy her an apartment? You never gave me a dime. I only partly paid for the apartment. I still have money. Let's go on a trip. Where do you want to go? Scott's desperate excuses almost made me laugh. It's too late for him to panic now. I've made up my mind. A trip with me would be a punishment, right? No need for your concern. I'll be out of this house in 3 days. What about Mom? You said you'd take care of her from now on, didn't you? I will, but I can't do it alone. I'm smaller and weaker than you, Scott, but I managed all by myself. I can't start my day without your breakfast. Please, I want the omelet you make. Scott often complained about such simple breakfasts, leaving them untouched. I doubt he even remembers that. Ask Sophia to make it. Sophia can't cook. She knows how to warm up store-bought food. I don't want to hear complaints about your mistress. Mom will feel lonely. She won't want me to care for her. Sarah said she felt terrible seeing how you treated me these last 3 years. She wants me to start a new life without worry. She's fine going to a care facility or relying entirely on you. But Dylan and Kevin support me. You asked Dylan and Kevin for help? They're family. They even found me a new apartment. The apartment is small but clean and close to Dylan and Kevin's homes, and I really like it. I'm looking forward to living there soon. I don't want to be disturbed by such a person. Please don't leave. By the way, retirement allowance is also subject to property division. According to the lawyer, your company's standard amount is about $200,000. I'll be claiming my half. There's hardly any left, only about 10 grand. Spending lavishly on fancy restaurants every night will deplete money quickly. Simple math. Were you that foolish, Scott? You can say what you want. I won't get angry anymore, and I'll do the housework and caregiving. I'll even break up with Sophia, so please don't divorce me. Your resolve, Scott, doesn't move my heart anymore. It seems Scott realized too late that his habit of ignoring my voice has now come back to haunt him. I think he understands that no matter what happens in the future, there's no chance of us getting back together. Scott, looking dejected, acknowledged this and left the house. This was right after he said he would take care of Sarah. I can't leave such an irresponsible person in charge. That night, Scott did not return. I had already been looking for a care facility for Sarah, so I immediately called to start the admission process. Sarah agreed to it, and we spent the next 3 days preparing our move. Even packing felt enjoyable, knowing I was finally leaving this place. On the day I was moving out, Scott returned. "Are you really leaving? Thank you for everything. Become sarcastic now, have you? Sarah will be entering a care facility. I can't leave her in your care. Please visit her at least." "Understood. Then I'll be going." As I was about to leave, Scott grabbed my arm to stop me. Just his touch filled me with discomfort, and I instinctively shook it off. He looked at me almost in tears. "Sophia dumped me." "I see. It's too hard to live alone at this age. There are many people like that. Don't be so dependent." Then suddenly he began apologizing at the front door. "Please don't abandon me." I glanced at him and then got into the cab I had called. If he thought a simple apology would appease my anger, he must have considered me beneath him until the very end. Later, I heard from the lawyer that Sophia is refusing to pay, but I won't give up. Scott sent the remaining $10K, but it's not enough, so I will continue to demand more. I heard that Scott is now working as a security guard at a construction site, unable to just relax and live off the old age pension. It's healthier than drinking beer and getting fat during the day. Not that I care about his health. In my new room, I decorate with flowers and enjoy treats without any hesitation. Dylan and Kevin often visit, so I don't feel lonely. I'm ready to enjoy my second life, feeling reborn.